You ever read a book where a character just feels so real you could swear you actually know them? Or you watch a movie and it just perfectly nails the feeling of being alive? Well, that sense of humanness, that authenticity, it's something we just know when we see it. But what happens when technology tries to fake it? Okay, let's just dive right in with a super simple example. Look at these two phrases. He ran. Okay, fine. It's an action, tells us what happened. But he bolted. Now that's a whole story, isn't it? It's jam-packed with emotion, with urgency, maybe even fear. It gives us a little window straight into that character's mind. And that power, the ability of a single word to create an entire emotional landscape, that's really where our whole journey into authenticity begins. It's how we build a connection. And let me tell you, writers who are great at their craft know this secret inside and out. The key to making a character feel truly alive isn't about some grand epic event. Nope. It's found in the small, specific, almost forgettable little actions they take. I mean, a writer could just say he sat down and drank a beer. Boring, right? But plunked? That one word, you can almost hear it. And when you combine that with him wishing the world away, you get a complete picture of total exhaustion and defeat. We know exactly how this guy feels without him saying a single word about his feelings. And here's another one. Instead of just, he laughed, we get guffawed, and he slapped his knee. We can see this specific, loud, maybe even kind of inappropriate laughter. It reveals so much about his personality. Is he just a really jolly guy? A little obnoxious? See? The tiny details, they're not just details, they're everything. They're the absolute building blocks of authenticity. So if one perfectly chosen word can make a person feel real, what happens when you build an entire story out of these small, ordinary, totally human moments? Think about a show like Seinfeld. Why is it so relatable? I mean, let's be honest, the characters are kind of terrible people sometimes. You might think it's just about the jokes, but there's something much, much deeper going on here. It's a concept film nerds call movies about nothing, and it is surprisingly powerful. In these kinds of stories, we're not sitting on the edge of our seats waiting for some huge twist. We're basically just flies on the wall watching people navigate coffee shops and friendships and all the little weird things that happen every day, stuff we all do. And that familiarity, it makes us feel comfortable. It makes us trust the world we're seeing on screen. Whether it's the everyday absurdities in Seinfeld or the quiet, beautiful moments in Moonlight, these stories prove a point. By focusing on nothing, they actually end up being about everything that makes us human. They set the baseline for what our brains register as authentic and real. Okay, so we're comfortable with all that authentic, messy, everyday stuff. But what happens when an imitation of a human gets almost everything right, but it just misses those few crucial, subtle details we've been talking about? Well, that's when we fall into the uncanny valley. This is a concept that's actually been around since the 70s, first identified in robotics, but man, it perfectly explains that feeling, that creepy, something's not quite right here feeling I bet we've all had. Now, check out this graph, it explains it perfectly. On the far left, you've got an industrial robot. Doesn't bother us one bit. As it gets more human-like, maybe a cute stuffed animal, our affection for it goes up. But then, whoa, we hit that dip. That's the valley. A humanoid robot that's almost perfect feels way, way stranger than one that's clearly just a machine. And get this isn't just about physical robots anymore. Researchers over at MIT are finding out that the uncanny valley is alive and well inside the AI we interact with every single day. So in a pretty recent study, these researchers set up an experiment to see how people react to different AI chatbots. One of them was built using GPT-4o, and it was engineered to be as natural and human-like as it could possibly be. But here's the really clever part. They designed a second bot, also using GPT-4o, but this one was designed specifically to fall right into the uncanny valley. Its responses were engineered to be just slightly off. So you had participants chatting with one of three sources: a real person, that really human-like AI, or the uncanny valley AI. And the most important part, they had absolutely no idea which one they were talking to. And the results were, wow, super clear. Participants consistently rated the uncanny valley bot the lowest, not just in likability, but in how smart they thought it was, and even in how alive it felt. The AI that was almost human was the one that felt the most wrong. So what's the thread here? What connects those descriptive verbs from the beginning, the movies about nothing, and this unsettling AI? Well, that uneasy feeling isn't really about how smart the technology is. It's about what I like to call the authenticity gap, that tiny but absolutely massive space between a near perfect copy and the genuine, messy, nuanced reality of what it means to be human. See, here's the bottom line. Great writers, great directors, they capture this authenticity without even thinking about it. They get the power of the mundane, the specific, the imperfect. And AI, for all its amazing power, still struggles to copy that lived in, flawed detail that our brains instantly recognize as real. Which leaves us with a final, and I think pretty fascinating question to chew on. Right now, we all have this built in authenticity detector. But as AI gets better and better, as it starts to close that gap and flawlessly mimic the human experience, what does that do to our own understanding of what it even means to be real? You